We have some fantastic local news sources in our area, from Talk of the Town in Loftus to the Greater Nunthorpe News publications, which I'm proud to contribute a column to. And today's debate is all about the people who make our news and who rely on it. People like Lynn and Steve Nichols from Moorsham. For 14 years, they produced the excellent Coastal View and More News, a two-person operation delivering a free community newspaper to every home. They celebrated our area's achievements, campaigned on our local fights, and gave communities across East Cleveland a voice of our own. And their retirement last year marked the end of a remarkable chapter, but their work shows what genuinely local journalism can achieve. This debate is, of course, about the future, but this tradition goes right back to our roots as a democratic society. And in the 1840s, it was Teesside Chartists like 19-year-old George Markham Tweddle producing radical newspapers like his Cleveland News and Stokesley Reporter, which set out to give the ordinary people of Cleveland a newspaper that would reflect their more liberal opinions rather than those of the landowning classes. Not a view shared by the Stockton Conservative Association at the time, who grumbled about the newspapers and tracts of an objectionable and mischievous tendency which were exclusively circulated among the lower classes. But that determination and that refusal to be silenced is where local journalism on Teesside began. And today, our main local news presence, Teesside Live, serves hundreds of thousands of people across our area. The journalists are dedicated, but it is fair to say they are working under immense strain. The traditional advertising model is collapsing. More than 300 local newspapers closed between 2009 and 2019. And Reach, which owns Teesside Live, does deserve credit for keeping the paper alive, but in doing so has had to make cuts, and we've heard about some of those decisions they've made across the country recently. Reporters are expected to cover far more ground with far fewer resources. And with the shift to online, the pressure to publish quickly and at volume is intense. We've seen how elsewhere in the country this can lead to lapses in standards, such as the clickbait headlines recently ruled misleading by Ipso. And ultimately, this is about our democracy. Just as it was for Tweddle then, we now need to prepare for a wholly new age. And if local media is diminished, so too is our democracy. Communities become less informed, space for debate narrows, and trust erodes. More than half of people now get their news from social media, and people are more exposed to misinformation than ever before. Ofcom says that 43% of UK adults recall encountering misinformation, and these are only the people who are equipped to recognise it. Meanwhile, hostile states exploit this landscape, and the Washington Post reported last year that the Russian Foreign Ministry is using disinformation online to weaken Western democracies. These tactics aim to destabilise free societies, and they rely on weakened, hollowed-out information environments to succeed. And that is why strong, independent, accountable local journalism matters. It provides trusted information about the places where people actually live, and it can counter falsehoods with facts and create a democratic culture that's rooted in community. The challenge now is to meet audiences where they are without abandoning the standards that make local journalism trustworthy in the first place. So what must we do? First, build sustainable funding models for public interest journalism, including community and cooperative ownership, as has been talked about today. Second, uphold high standards with stronger regulation. Third, help local outlets innovate safely, embracing digital tools, including AI, but without sacrificing trust. And fourth, strengthen media literacy in schools and communities so people can recognise misinformation when they see it. And I welcome the measures in the curriculum review in this regard. But above all, we must remember that local media is not a luxury, as my honourable friend said. When it collapses, civic engagement falls, scrutiny weakens, and communities lose that mirror to themselves. Tweddle wrote that his paper sought to be the unflinching advocate of civil and religious liberty. So let us ensure that 200 years later, our local media can adapt to do the same.
Yeah.